blessed children of God, as the cosmic Christ, I stand before you to seal your chakras in the light of the love, wisdom, and power of God, so that you might go forth, taking up the sword of truth, igniting the fires of the heart, and sending forth the ray of the ruby fire, so that wherever your gaze lands, there is a spark of that identity of the heart of God, propelling into unreality and allowing for the Christ consciousness, the pristine perfection of God, to be placed where there has before been negativity. It is not a time for you to sit back and wait for others to do the work that you have been called. For blessed hearts, the time is now. Much teaching has preceded my coming, and you have garnered many of the talents required to call forth these rays of God consciousness. I speak today not just to the few, but to every son and daughter of God upon the planet. Awaken your heart. Allow for the flame of God to burn more brightly than it has ever burned before, and ignite within your own consciousness the Christic Fire, so that when you call forth God in any land, by the pure intent of the love of God, it will carry the momentum as guided by the cosmic Christ. For yes, blessed hearts, this is the cosmic Christ command of love, to go forth from this day forward, seated in the fullness of the flame of love, as you know God to want only the best for all of the children of light. Understand, blessed hearts, as you have learned throughout this previous week, that the ray of God travels to and fro, coursing along the Buddhic Web, carrying the Christ consciousness and the identity of the flame of God into all of the affairs, even to the very densest plane of consciousness, and allowing for the fullness of the release of the patterns of God identity from the bondage of negativity, by the stepping forth of the Elohim, of the 5 secret rays. You now have in your arsenal 5 additional Elohim to call on, to ignite within your own vehicles of consciousness more of the Christed patterns of your identity in God, and to help you in the disciplining of these vehicles that you wear. For yes, their consciousness holds vast cosmic forces of these elemental forces of nature with their consciousness. Do you not suppose that they could be your best tutor in holding fast to those vehicles that you presently wear, to keep them in check, to have them function in accordance with what is the will of the mighty I Am Presence. And then, as there is the call that goes forth from your own heart flame to the mighty I Am Presence, you have the reinforcement, not just of your own vehicles of consciousness, but the vastness of the planes of Elohim, ready to respond to your call. For the Presence has found within you a chalice prepared, a heart on fire, and a love for God that will not be denied. And that love that goes before you, behind you, to your right and to your left, above and beneath your feet, is the ruby heart that establishes the ruby chalice that will hold the matrix for the golden age right within you, and allow you the ability of the spiraling action of the flames of God to unite with the golden river of the Helicon, the cosmic councils in their dimension of fire, as they release dispensation and opportunity for the earth to bring about the change that is required. Full well realizing that it may not be at times comfortable for your vehicles, but it will be right. And as you adjust to the increase of the fires of God burning within your own vehicles, you will understand what it means to be a fiery furnace in the battle of light and dark. And that heart that spirals you into the fullness of your own God presence is not only preparing the way for your golden age and the ascension in the light, but it is preparing the golden age for every son and daughter of God. Have we not promised that the seventh root race will come and embody in greater numbers to anchor freedom's flame? If there is a place prepared, let that place be fired with the fires of the heart of God. Let there be a coursing through the earth planes of the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the planes of Akasha, the patterns of God that are ready to burst forth, bringing with it those high ideals that can only be born out of the heart of God, clearing the way for the inventions, the discoveries of nature, and the opportunity to have more life streams, not merely piercing the veil of the physical octave to dissect and lay open the minutiae, but to have the understanding of how the integration between spirit and matter are facilitated by the consciousness of God, and how each of these planes of consciousness come forth in the full domain of God. You, blessed hearts, have hearts on fire. Will you take up the ruby sword? Will you allow for your chalice to be fully prepared in the heart of God? Throughout this cycle, you have made valiant strides, and many of you have accomplished more in 1 week than you have been able to accomplish in many years of applying the decrees and the affirmations by yourself. Know that as you continue to build the momentum that you have established, you must be on guard with your consciousness, holding fast to every thought, word, and deed as it is fired in the refiner's fire of your own threefold flame of the heart. And this is true wherever you may be, for the momentums of Christ to come forth, and for you to have the full power of God behind your invocations, to allow for the cosmic Christ command of love to make a difference upon the earth. There must be a concerted effort on the part of each one to stay the course until the refiner's fire of your own mighty I Am presence has completed its work, and you are truly spinning with a spinning action for divine purpose, divine intent. You are no longer caught up in the pettiness of life, but you have within your gaze the vision of how the rest of the world is dependent upon what you do, what you say, how you respond. Is this too much weight of responsibility for the shoulders of the mighty I Am presence in the world of form as the incarnate Christ? It is not. For this is the purpose for the office of Christhood. Perhaps you began thinking that you were pursuing a path that would bring you greater ease, more comfort in your physical body, an expansion of wealth. But the wealth that you have received is the wealth of God. The comfort flame is the flame of the Holy Spirit, coursing through your vehicles of consciousness to knit together each of these vehicles so that you might be that Christ. And the ease with which you are to move one moment to the next is facilitated because you are maintaining your chalice as a prepared chalice honed in the light. For each time you go before your altar and you allow your mighty I Am presence to pour into these outer vehicles that you wear all that you are capable of holding at that moment, you will have enough, not only for your own life stream to accomplish the tasks of the day, but you will have left over megatons of light with which to call into the affairs of the sons and daughters of God worldwide, so that you may make a difference. Do you suppose there is a limit to what your mighty I Am presence can do through you? The limitation is only in your own consciousness and what you have set in motion. The limitation is only the procrastination of not disciplining your outer vehicles so that they are fired in the refiner's fire, so that the chalice is strong and of the pure nature where God may reside. This, blessed hearts, is the work of Christhood. You have learned how to lower into every vestige of your being and the earth herself the Christic fire and consciousness of illumination, tracing the lines of the Buddhic Web and drawing together those elements that will allow you the fullness of all that is required, the response to every necessity, the discipline of the emotional body, so that you can have the strength and the power of God transferred into your emotional body and still be strong, sealing up every vestige of your being that would otherwise leak away the power of God and the light of God. When you have the opportunity to reflect back on the studies of the Buddhic Web, see yourself positioned as a flame of illumination, with the blue flame and the pink flame circling round about that illumination. And then begin to experiment with what you have learned, consciously working with the flames upon the altar of your heart and the spiritual centers of your being to draw into active participation with the flame of God, the mind of God, the activity that you desire to magnetize into manifestation. This simple exercise will show you a great deal of what must be worked on by way of the violet flame, the white light of purity, the emerald matrix in your own world, so that you might hold to those patterns of the Christic fire of the threefold flame of the heart. Never before has there been so much instruction given, broadcast far and wide to the sons and daughters of God from the Ascended Master Octaves, so that you would have all that is required to fulfill the divine purpose of your life, and to be that torch held high of illumination's flame, burning brightly so that others might be saved. Yes, blessed hearts, we are talking about lives. We are talking about consciousness. We are talking about God upon the earth. And when you understand the importance of your corner of the world, holding fast to these patterns of God identity, and when you love enough to allow for those fires of the heart to perform what is called to you, to give as decree, to enter into as the release of the fires of the heart through the ruby ray action of God's love, to stand as a flame of illumination, to be the protector and the defender of the innocent and those who know not yet who they are. This is a task worthy of every inconvenience to yourself. This is the opportunity that you have been given, so that at the close of this embodiment, you will not stand before the karmic board and reel excuse after excuse of why you were too busy, too preoccupied, too weary. Perhaps you have even considered you were not worthy. O blessed ones, the flame of God that you are is up to the task and is always worthy, for there is no unworthiness in the flame of God. And you stand with a threefold flame upon the altar of your heart. That is God. God as love. God as power and will. And God as the Christic Fire of illumination. Let your heart so expand that every thought of God becomes a reality. Every dream upon your heart is a dream fulfilled when it is a part of the blueprint for the golden age. Your life is part of that blueprint, whether you have recognized it or not. You are the golden race, with illumination's flame burning brightly upon the altar of your heart. It matters not the ethnicity, the culture, or the country from whence you come. The golden flame of the light of God is intended to burst forth, activating the crown chakra and allowing for the Christic Fire to call forth the love of God into the affairs of mankind. I, Maitreya, commend you to the Buddhic fires of illumination as you become the Christ in the fulfillment of God's work, carrying into the future all of the dreams for holy purpose, that every little one that follows, most especially the seventh root race, will divinely know from inception. There will be the time when so much of the fires of transmutation will not be required, for each one will take responsibility for their affairs. And heart to heart, there will be the full functioning of the Christ consciousness everywhere you turn. These are the patterns that you are tracing with the fingers of your mind, allowing to course through and charge your emotional body, and establish as the patterns of the garment of Christhood right in the physical octave where you stand. Let the fires of the heart carry you into the fulfillment of God's purpose for all. I, Lord Maitreya, seal you as the cosmic Christ and planetary Buddha in the flame of love as you call forth the cosmic Christ command of God's love for the earth.